So my first movie review in a month that is all centered around love could only begin with Amazon Prime's You're Cordially Invited, starring the one and only Will Ferrell and the one and only Reese Witherspoon, two comedic icons from my childhood. Like, I can't even begin to tell you how much I adore both of these leading actors here. So my girlfriend decided to sit down tonight, we had some nice dinner, we watched it together. So let's talk about it. So we follow a workaholic named Margot, played by Reese Witherspoon, who is planning her daughter's ideal wedding, and the widow father of a bride-to-be, played by Will Ferrell, who discovered their destination weddings at a remote resort are double booked. So when both parties quickly come to resolve and decide to share the small venue, chaos ensues and disaster awaits. Which can only mean one thing in a rom-com: comedic hijinks. Now look, one thing I'll say right off the bat, Will Ferrell and Reese Witherspoon do complement each other very well. I do think that the script gives both people very clever jabs at one another. I think the movie does work best when they're really trying to sabotage the other person's wedding. Because how dare they take their booking? How dare Will Ferrell's booking be basically non-existent because the woman he booked it with died while the booking was going on? Which I don't necessarily think is a spoiler. And I don't necessarily think it's a spoiler either that Will Ferrell is wrestling an alligator. That's in the trailer, that's on the poster for this. That is the gimmick that they want to really push. And let's just say when that scene happens, yeah, it got a chuckle out of me. But here's the big crux of You're Cordially Invited. I really wish this movie was funnier. I mean, don't get it twisted. There are a couple of moments in there that had me really rolling on the floor, but I wanted that feeling to be consistent throughout the entirety of this runtime. And it's a pretty long runtime too, coming in at around an hour 40-ish. So the pacing of this movie to me felt very off. The structure of this movie too, it almost felt like when the wedding was going on, I was like, okay, this is kind of the ending. But no, you're only halfway through. So it felt very bizarre to me, and honestly, there was one adjective that struck to mind once this movie wrapped up: awkward. And a lot of the attempts at comedy, aside from the alligator sequence, it just came off like a joke that didn't really have much of a punchline. Like, they were going towards some sort of really clever joke there, but then the editing just kind of cut them off before they could even reach the crescendo of the joke. And that's a big reason why I think, for the most part, You're Cordially Invited doesn't really work as a comedy. But where it does work and where it does shine is when Will Ferrell and Reese Witherspoon are basically competitors. And I'll be honest, the movie actually kind of works in its dramatic moments. There's some very small, quiet scenes that I feel like were very outside of Will Ferrell and Reese Witherspoon's niches. And I'm not going to get too deep into it, but both of them can come off extremely relatable. So I don't know, when it comes to thinking more and more about this movie, letting my thoughts simmer for a little bit, it feels very unbalanced to me. Because when it tries to do what it's advertising to its audience, what Amazon is advertising to its audience rather, it doesn't really work that well. And the jokes feel very clunkily written and super awkwardly edited. But then when it tries to step outside of its comfort zone, then it feels like the movie is a little bit more unique amongst itself. And I was really getting into it, especially as you get towards the third act. And then, you know, the ending comes around, and I'll be honest, there's a bit of a cliche ending that you can see coming from a mile away if you've seen a bunch of rom-coms. And I don't necessarily think a certain event that happens between our leads was needed. Like, I think I would have enjoyed the movie a lot more if you didn't go into the cliches. But it's not to say that You're Cordially Invited is unfunny. It's not like I didn't laugh at it at all. I mean, I did sort of enjoy myself. Might have been a bit too awkward for me. Reese Witherspoon's family was way too over the top. I did, however, enjoy the dynamic between Will Ferrell's character and the daughter. Like, there's just a lot of super weird endearing little things about that father-daughter dynamic that it works for me, gang. And I will say there are not one but two cameos in here, one of which is Peyton Manning. Of all people, Peyton Manning, one of my favorite football players of all time, the sheriff. He pops in for a cup of coffee at the very beginning of the movie, and it's such an awkward little moment that I'm like, is this how the movie's going to be the entire time? And sure enough, it was. It felt very awkward to me. But overall, I mean, I wouldn't say I had a bad time watching this movie. If you were to ask me to RSVP for either one of these two weddings, I don't know if I would say yes again. I mean, yeah, I'm glad I said yes at least once RSVPing to this movie. But I will go ahead and leave that verdict up to you. So I would say check this movie out at least once. It's on Amazon Prime. What have you got to lose? I'm going to give You're Cordially Invited a C. Pretty unmemorable matrimonies to be included in this one for sure. which is never what the bonding of holy matrimony should be in the grand scheme of things. It should be the greatest day of your life. But let me know what you think of You're Cordially Invited down in the comment section below. What's your favorite Will Ferrell movie? What's your favorite Reese Witherspoon movie? Lots that we can discuss and then some on this channel. Hit that subscribe button if you're new. Tap on that thumbs up as well. We are inching oh so close to 2,000 subscribers, which is a goal I've been looking to reach over the past year or so, and we've been closer than ever. So I'll tell you what. You guys helped me reach this goal, and I'm going to reveal a surprise that I am so excited to talk about with you guys, but it can't happen until we get there. Thank you guys so much again. Y'all are the best. And with all that being said, back talk, commence.